Welcome, my beautiful souls. Today we're going to do a reading um, where we are going to our spirit guides and we're asking them, what do we need to know right now about the end of this universal year 9, moving into the universal year 1? What messages? I just did some channeled messages and I did it on well, I started as a podcast, but I made it a movie. But then I felt like I have to do a tarot reading also. I definitely felt called to this. So this is open for all signs. And again, we're looking at, like, I hate to say the final messages, but let's say the important messages that our guides want us to hear now. Interesting with the way my voice sounds. So what I did is I brought out the big guns. I brought out Archangel Raphael. We have Mother Mary, so they're both oracles. We're gonna open a reading with them. We're gonna use the crystal vision to clarify and go deeper. I'm gonna use the psychic tarot for the main spread. It's interesting how this deck has been calling during many readings, so I thought, okay, let's use them again. And then we're also going to use major arcanas. So this is a full reading, and hopefully it's going to cover love, your career, your creativity for sure. Um, Light workers, we're being called into action. So there could probably be some messages for us, healers, you know, I'm going to really let it be whatever it wants to be. Again, we're connecting to our guides or our highest messages possible. What does my voice sound like? Like Betty Davis. It's weird. Um, Interesting. As soon as I said Betty Davis, I always tell you guys, don't be afraid to connect to your guides and ask them to give you signs of confirmation. And many times that's true, like something I'll say, a number, whatever it may be, that's between you and your guides, but something is telling me, I said Betty Davis for a reason. All right. So again, we'll use the major arcanas and they tell their own little story. But let's go ahead and open up this reading because it is going to be a longer one. So buckle up. Just kind of, if you just relax with the reading, I'm telling you, if it's an hour reading, it feels like it's a half an hour reading. Um, just allow it to be. Okay, I'm gonna bring the lid down and let's go ahead and start with Archangel Raphael. And again, this is for the collective. In this type of reading, really in all my readings, you should feel it. Like you should feel it. It's a soul to soul reading. So it's my soul connecting to your soul. I feel like we're all one big soul family anyway. I don't know what's wrong with my voice. All right. Archangel Raphael for the collective. I use Raphael in personal readings a lot, if needed. But it's kind of strange. I don't use it that often on YouTube. Maybe I'll start changing that. All right. Call upon Archangel Raphael for help. Dear Archangel Raphael, I ask for your healing help with, and then describe your situation. Thank you for your divine healing intervention. Some of you, that's what you're looking for. Go right to Archangel Raphael. I ask for your healing help, and then just describe your situation. Know that you're being heard. How about yes? Yes. Dear Archangel Raphael, please help me trust my feelings as the accurate barometer of truth. Yes. Interesting, it just says yes. So, we'll leave these here and let's bring Mother Mary. We'll see if they stay out. I don't want to crowd the table too much. By the way, everything's always pre-shuffled before you come into a reading. I just like to give it a shuffle or two with you here also. So Mother Mary, and again, we're really asking about anything we need to know to finish this year off really with our highest good, and maybe even what to look forward to. Jesus. I pray for Jesus' help and guidance with this situation. Jesus. Right to the top. Okay. And they will relate back to the reading. Matter of fact, every deck that we end up using, they will all relate together. They always do. Let's go ahead and do the major arcanas. And the reason why I use these for anyone who's new, I just feel like, number one, they're like bullet points of what our reading's going to be about. But many times I feel like they tell their own beautiful little story. Okay? I usually shoot for 3 to 4. It's very seldom that I'll refuse what comes out unless it's like half the deck. There you go. Like, ask and you shall receive. All right, so we have the tower. Don't freak out. It would make sense. We have the moon. Heart of Pisces, ruler of Cancer. The moon. The tower. The Hierophant. Heart of Taurus. Hierophant, though, it makes sense because it's a 5. And 5s are always looking for change. It is your free will. Usually it's your free will. But I feel like some of you, it feels like you're recovering from some type of tower moment that happened in your life. I don't know why I'm feeling more of you are starting to overcome. But I'm sure some of you are still in it. The tower is like this disruption in one's life. Can mean an ending. I often feel someone has fallen from grace in the tower's energy. And for some of you, you may have been hanging on to someone, let's just say, who is not being clear with you about what they want. And I feel like if that's the case, you may be handing that tower out. I get this sense of like what I'm looking for, let's say in love, is really something dreamy, right? That's what the moon represents, dreamy type energy. Even connecting to another like telepathically, your dreams being messages themselves. But this Hierophant is about to give a blessing. The Hierophant wants you just to question, yourself, but also anyone in your life. Morals, do they match? Is this tower because, like, I have been evolving, but others have not? If that's the case, definitely watch that video I just did It's only like 6 minutes long. Um, but it definitely covered that energy. And then we have the hangman. Slow down, you move too fast. So the hangman is seeking spiritual wisdom to use on this earthly plane. The hangman is mirroring the tower. So I feel like this hangman, or who's ever in this hangman energy, I feel like there's a sense of, I don't want to have to repeat this tower, whether I've given it or I've received it. And I'm seeking the wisdom to know better, to do better. And that's not to put it on your shoulders. I don't know if I used the right terminology there. Um, but I definitely feel the sense of maybe wanting more out of life. Like it's got to be more than just these tower energies, right? And that's kind of what the hangman is asking. Well, no wonder we have such strong energy over here with Mother Mary and Archangel Raphael. So, whatever the hangman is seeking, if you're seeking it, you shall find it. So, this hangman will find the answers to then move. And by the way, when the hangman does find the answers, it's a spiritual awakening. It's spiritual truth. To the point where we can't even deny it. It's a pause in the action, but yet at the same time, I feel like whatever change has happened, even though you may not feel it yet, it definitely feels like it's working on your behalf. Again, this Hierophant about to bless who's ever in the hangman pose. It's almost like I'm holding myself back until I have the wisdom, until I'm smarter than what I was, so I don't have to repeat. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's the way to do it. Like, see the patterns. That way you don't have to repeat them. All right. Let's go ahead and slide these up. And let's go ahead and bring in the Psychic Tarot. All right. Let's give them a cut. Let's begin. Okay. We're going to start with what came out first. Everything came out face up, by the way, which is good. We have spiritual strength. By the way, look at that, number 9. Literally what this reading is about. What else do I need to know? So when I do close this cycle, I close it feeling strong, better than ever. That's what this is really about. It's about your spiritual growth. I love this image because I feel like this is your spirit guides like holding up the roof, protecting you, let's say. But this is you also, kind of like what the hangman is doing, seeking spiritual wisdom, finding your own spiritual strength. When you truly believe within your spirit guides, then life does get easier. You start to notice the signs so much clearer. Even the red flags, doesn't mean that you naturally follow them. But I feel like as you start to evolve, then you do. Oh. Look at this, the sun. Beautiful. Interesting how we have the feminine and the masculine connected right there. We have the of swords, standing your ground. We have the hermit, solitude, two nines, actually three nines, because the sun is 19. So there's a nine. Spiritual strength is a nine. The hermit is a nine. Three nines. There may be three things in your life that need reflection upon. You know, it's great that the sun is here because the sun is your illuminator. So whatever the hangman was seeking, he'll find it in the sun. She'll find it in the sun. Um, to me, the sun is like a promise of a new day. And I kind of love that you have spiritual strength before that. So your own spiritual growth. And then the hermit on the other side, it's your spiritual wisdom. It's like she is reading from the Akashic records, almost getting a little peek at her future. All right, let's keep going. We have dun, 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 the Emperor, called Authority in this deck. And I can't help it. Every time I see this Emperor, I feel like he's a protector. He is a father figure. So for some of you, that's exactly what it is, like a father's love and protection. And I feel like it's mainly for fathers who have crossed over or father figures. Now, I also want to say, I know a lot of you have been thinking about starting businesses. You've been growing your spirituality by leaps and bounds, and you might naturally start to feel pulled into um, like starting your own business, but with a spiritual twist to it, so to speak. You're using your spiritual wisdom. The emperor is a great representation of the ability to build whatever you want to build. When you think of the emperor, think of the seed planter. And that's exactly what we're doing in 2026. But we don't have to wait. We should always be planting seeds. However, the hermit coming out, it makes a lot of sense because this is about the final reflection of the last 9 years, so that this cycle ends completely and a brand new cycle opens. The year of the magician. All right. Interesting. We have the moon again, called shadow here. And then we have the Three of Cups. Rejoice in celebration. Okay, so that means something good is going to happen. I love that it's coming under the sun. I feel like there should be no fear. This is something that's probably going to happen out of the blue, especially with the moon here twice. It could be something very dreamy and maybe unexpected, probably unexpected. I say unexpected, but I kind of mean to the human mind, not to the spiritual, not to the soul. I feel like to the soul, I kind of expected this. So, a reason to celebrate. It's interesting because the Seven of Wands right now is in the middle of this spread, and it talks about standing your ground. However, I often feel that once we reach a certain, let's say, spiritual level, it's about us helping others to stand their ground. So we take that wisdom that we've gained and then we help others. It's probably why I opened this reading calling for light workers, healers. Like, the world needs us. The world needs us. All right, let's keep going. I want to see what comes next to the Three of Cups. Look at that, another three. 33. Master number 33. Energy of pure love, pure tone, just pure. Recognition and reward. So, how beautiful. You're being recognized and rewarded for something, and you're going to be celebrating it. This is other people. This is you humble, though. Like, I like that. Like, I'm humble for, you know, for what I have, for what may be new. And I don't feel like, the uncertainty of the moon is going to stop you. If anything, I feel this recognition feels like it's long overdue, to be honest. But again, it may be divine's time, right? It may be your divine time. This is a Three of Pentacles, and it also speaks about your individuality. So, let's say you're starting a business. And again, I love the Hermit right next to the Emperor because, my God, if you're doing anything spiritual, it's like she's reading from the Akashic records and then boom, she's putting it into action. There's a lot of spiritual energy on the board, which is what I would expect, but I like to see it. I feel like there's going to be people who say to you, look at you, look at what you've overcome. I feel like there's also going to be people coming to you for advice, for help. But I want to remind you the Emperor is definitely someone who wants to help their fellow man and woman. But this is about giving them a hand up, not a hand out. So I feel like you're being recognized for a few different things. Number one, your spiritual growth. Number two, I feel like something within your money, but it feels like it's the right time. Like it's your time. And, I feel like for some, because I know a lot of people lost jobs, at least here in the United States, um, kind of had their hand forced. But what do we do? Like I've lost jobs before, and I've started businesses out of that. I've taken the wisdom that I had, and I worked in the fitness center for, I don't know, 25 years, and I've owned two gyms myself. So, and the reason why I'm saying that is, someone lets you go, it's like, okay, well, that sucks. But then you turn around and take that wisdom, that experience you have, and you build something for yourself. And then, who reaps the benefit of that? You do. You and those that you love, of course. All right, keep going. I don't know if I said light, which is the sun, is a card of Leo. Solitude, which is the hermit, is card of Virgo. Um, Double Cancer Pisces on the board. Oh, why'd you gotta do that? Sorry. There's been this little bug flying around. Little tiny thing, like a gnat. And I can never catch it. I think I just caught it. Alright, so I have intuition. Your intuition. Interesting because it's mirroring the hangman. So the hangman is receiving guidance and it's coming through one's intuition. It's like traveling through your spirituality right to your intuition. Some of you, if you're being offered new jobs, there's nothing wrong with taking a moment and thinking about it. Will this make me happy? Sometimes we do it for the money, but then there's no satisfaction. And I feel the opposite here. Doesn't mean that money won't follow. I just feel like this is about doing what makes your heart sing. All right, we have the Two of Wands. It's go time. It makes so much sense following all these nines. By the way, 22, 33. 3 nines, 33, 22. I just find that interesting. It's like they're grouping up. So, this is about stepping upon a new path. This is the willingness. It's mirroring the moon, so you may not be able to see the ultimate, like, where is the ultimate outcome of this? And maybe you're not meant to, because in a way you're writing it as you go. That's something I just spoke about, or something that was channeled to me, and I do say it all the time, though. We are the author. But I think I said the co-creator. You are now the co-creator. What do you want to create? What do you want to do today? We have accelerated motion on the bottom of the deck. Look what she's doing, looking up at a star. It's like she's making a wish. Also, number 8. 8s are about a new beginning. There's also the number of infinity. As above, so below. No beginning, no end. And I feel like it's a good reminder to us that we don't walk this path alone. Sometimes we feel that, but we can call in our guides at any time. They're always with us. And some of you, I do feel like some of you have a father figure who, you may be able to connect to. You may have recently had some dreams about them. And if you don't understand the dreams, what I would do is just write down, like, when you wake up, what you remember. And then just revisit it. And it may start to make, I already know it will eventually make sense to you. So we have fast moving energy on the bottom of the deck. And it makes sense because the universal year 9, it is almost at its end. This is literally the time, if you haven't already, that's kind of what I feel like the hangman is doing. What do I want my next 9 years to look like? The same or different? And if I wanted to be different, how do I go about that? What action steps do I need to take? This is action. And even Archangel Raphael just saying yes. It's like yes to whatever you're thinking, right? Just be bold enough to take that chance. You know, I feel like sometimes the issue is we want to know what the outcome is going to be before we even take a step on the journey, on the new path. And, it's almost impossible because you have free will and your guides know that and they cannot cross that free will. I feel like any of these towers that's happened, though, when they happen, it doesn't feel so good. But boy, do I feel like they probably happen for a reason, like to get you set on this, let's just say, new path. All right, let's bring in the crystal vision and let's go over this. Let's go a little deeper. I definitely feel with the moon next to the Three of Cups, it wants you to celebrate the present moment, like celebrate within the present moment, have gratitude for the present moment, and try not to like put a lot of worry on like where will something end up. Just know that if you put your effort towards it, chances are you're going to be successful in any area of your life. All right. Hello, lovers. Lovers over spiritual strength. Interesting. This is the card of Gemini. The meaning of this card is a head over heart decision, and that definitely applies. And maybe with the hangman and, Archangel Raphael saying yes, your intuition is like right here, connected to your spirituality. So, yes, it is a head over heart decision, but I also feel like it's undeniable chemistry. Could be why we're seeing some repeat signs already. And I'm not even thinking about the sign other than to give you the sign, but then I kind of forget the sign. All right. We have, nice, the Three of Wands. This is an optimistic view. This is optimism. This is celebrating the present moment, finding reasons to be grateful in the present moment. I love that it's coming over the sun. You put the sun with optimism together, and hello, whatever dreams that she's wishing, I feel they're going to come true. This is really letting go of control, though. This is trusting in divine, saying to divine, I know my ships will come in their divine timing. In the meantime, I'm going to just go ahead and enjoy the present moment. High Priestess again. I feel for some, you really have learned some difficult lessons this year. You probably have gone through some difficult shakeups, but I feel the day will come, if it hasn't already, where you will look back and you will be thankful for the changes that have happened, even though they weren't easy to get through. And when you get through them, take a second and congratulate yourself. Be proud of what you've done. Your intuition is really being called into action. We have the Eight of Pentacles. Interesting. So, another energy, if those who are thinking of starting a business, this definitely supports that. And again, coming over the Hermit, that wise old soul. Eight of Pentacles says, be willing to go into something as the apprentice with the mindset that one day you will be the master teacher. It also answers a question for us. How do I know that I'll be successful within my money or within love? It tells you whatever you focus on is what you're going to grow. And you can focus on more than one thing, by the way. And then we have the Devil, card of Capricorn. You know, what's interesting is you can't see it in these images, but oftentimes you'll see the Lovers also in the Devil's card. And you'll see the Devil's influence over them, and they're chained, but they're loosely bound. And it's the illusion that they're stuck. And then many times you'll see the Lovers with an angel's influence over them. So it is the difference of the light and the dark. Some of you, though, I feel like it represents Capricorn. And I don't feel like that's everyone. So let's talk about what the devil means. The devil speaks about illusions, temptations, the things that tempt us in the dark. You know, but I feel like only for so long. You know, it is like Adam and Eve. And, you know, I get this feeling that some of you, there could be something that you yourself needed to overcome. Could have been something generational, like something my dad did, my grandpa did, my great grandpa, and now I do it. You know what I mean? So this could be an opportunity to break a generational curse, so to speak. All right, let's keep going. I would say, though, the one thing I would say to be careful about is that you don't get tempted back to old ways of being, you know, like where you have to lower your vibration to really fit in with theirs. It's got to be the other way around. You know, as you start to spiritually evolve, it's just natural that those who don't kind of fade away. That's the way the energy works. But the human part of us pulls them back in again. That's what becomes a repeat pattern. So I would just say, just be careful with that. All right, we have the Five of Wands. And then we have the Four of Swords. Healing, rest, rejuvenation, overcoming. You know, I don't feel like this is talking about an energy you're staying in long because it's coming over the Three of Cups. It's almost like it's like I feel some of you have been in a healing phase, and during this healing phase, you may have gotten like epiphanies. You may have someone reach out, like something, it just feels like something happened. Something of a very good nature happened. Now, if we go back one card though, kind of makes me feel like it's tied to temptation. This is what's Five of Wands, and This is definitely ego based. This is, it can be called friendly competition. It just doesn't look friendly to me. I often feel in this energy that you've dealt with someone or people who have a lot of drama. Like drama is their second name or even their first name. So I feel like part of your soul's lesson is learning how not to get pulled back down into lower vibrational energy, especially after you yourself have done all this, like, let's say shadow work, because we have the word shadow. So let's say shadow work. You know, sometimes I feel like the universe kind of throws us a little test. Okay, so she claims that she's done with so and so. This is the end. Well, let's throw him in there one more time and see what happens. Well, because we have the Four of Swords right next to it, I feel like you passed that test. You passed that test. So the Five of Wands, five, change. Um, but this change I feel like has to happen. Like I'm either gonna get pulled into other people's dramas or I'm not. I'm gonna choose to live my life in a higher vibration or I don't. I do feel like it's weird, but I do feel like for some, it's like one final test. One final test. And it could be for those who say, I've had a spiritual awakening. So it's like, okay, we want to test that. We want to test your theory. See if you really did have that spiritual awakening. And remember, spiritual awakening is a process. Some say it happens overnight, and maybe it does for some. But from my experience, and I'm not just talking about me, I'm talking about just the business I've been in for so long. I feel like it's a process. And I feel like the first thing it starts with is our own truth, right? Like, I can't have a spiritual awakening yet live in lie. I can't have a spiritual awakening and also treat people like shit. I can't lie to myself. That is the beginning. But then once you're completely truthful with yourself, and that means the good, the bad, and the ugly, it only helps you to evolve. And I feel like that's what you're doing anyway. All right. It does make me want to come back and look at the lovers, but we'll do that afterwards. Hello, Four of Wands. Hello, marriage card. Commitment. This is to me true love. If I could name it, I'd call it the true love card. Because not everyone wants to get married. But this is a type of love where these two people, once they're together, they can't imagine not being together. For many of you, I don't feel like you've met this yet. It's coming right over the Three of Pentacles. And, the Three of Pentacles really isn't a love card, but when it is connected to anything in love, I love it because it really speaks about like being comfortable within one's own skin. This is a type of love where there's no masks needed, right? Each is celebrated for who each is. And it's even saying recognition, the recognition. Well, some of you, this may be a recognition of a soulmate. Let's just say of a true love. I don't feel like it has anything to do with the tower. I don't feel like it has anything to do with lower temptation. I feel like this is on a higher realm. Look at that, the Emperor again. Right over your intuition now. So let's also talk about the Emperor as a potential lover. Well, this is someone I can look up to. This can represent someone who's a little older than you. It doesn't have to be, but it can. I would say this person has their shit together. Doesn't mean they're perfect because nobody is, but they have their shit together. This is someone who definitely cares about their fellow man and woman. It's interesting because I've only noticed this one other time, and it was in a personal reading, and the person was a photographer. And I noticed this camera. It might not even be a camera, but that's just how I'm seeing it. I have to say, though, just that I brought that up and I'm seeing the Eight of Pentacles above it. Like, if any of you are doing anything in like photography or in that type of field, I feel like you have the green light. What I'm loving also is I feel like what this is talking about, because I know so many of you have, let's just say again, worked on your shadow self. You're now in your light body. And therefore, that's what is or wants to manifest back to you. So it would make sense it would be the Emperor. And I'm not thinking just Aries. I'm thinking about what the Emperor represents, the seed planter. Who knows? These could be predestined seeds. And this just might be divine timing. Like, don't give up on love. If you don't want to fall in love, that's okay. But don't give up on it. Like, and that's why reflection is so important because we can't allow the people of our past to dictate what our present or our future is going to look like. Because if we do, chances are it's going to be the same, which I don't feel like you want. Well, I want to say I don't want, but I'm reading as you. So just know that when I say I, because some people misunderstand that and think I'm talking about me, I am just you. I am you. You are me. This person's intuition should also be very strong. And I feel like that's what they're doing. They're following their intuition. Neither one of you may even know about this potential connection. You're just following your guidance. Well, somebody knows because here's the Seven of Cups. And this is truly where you're making a decision. It's interesting because I feel for some of you, it is the decision between the past or the future. Past love, who I feel like, listen, if you had to heal from it, why would you want to repeat that? Now, I'm not saying past people can't evolve. And if they do, that's great. That's what I would hope. However, that's not really what I'm seeing. I'm seeing the opposite. And anyone who's been dealing with anyone like a narcissist who doesn't want to show you love, but they'll be damned if they want someone else to love you. Don't be surprised if you just so happen to find love that this person also tries to come back. That may be the final test. But it puts the ball in your court, right? It's coming over this next path, but you're choosing whether you're going to accept that cup or not. You know what? I'm going to go, I wasn't going to, but I'm going to go right below. I think I say that all the time, but then I do it all the time. All right, let's take what's face up first. Hello, Ace of Swords. So this is my yes card. So now you have two yeses. This could be communication. Notice the roses climbing up. The rose vine. Oh, and all those little butterflies. So funny, the thumbnail I was going to do had butterflies on it, and then something made me change my mind. There's those butterflies. We have the Six of Pentacles. And then we have the Strength card, card of Leo. Okay. I'm going to talk about the Six of Pentacles for a second. Six of Pentacles is that fine art of give and take. It is something we have to learn. Well, some people, I don't know. You know, it's empathy and compassion. And the Emperor is all about that. You know, think of the Empress and the Emperor. I call them my power couple. Because that's what they care about, the fellow man and woman. And, you know, if I do have a lot of compassion and empathy, yes, I can also be taken advantage of. But then this is what I'm learning. This is what I'm learning here. And that's probably what did happen. But the Four of Swords is right above it. So it's not about shutting down your compassion or your empathy. It's just learning. You know, learning how to read energy, number one, which I feel many of you are great at. Your intuition, trusting your intuition. You know, let's say the Lovers comes in and it is of a lower vibration, and your intuition starts singing like, red flag, red flag. Well, we're either going to pay attention to that or we're not. But let's flip that around. So this person enters our life, maybe again through communication, and it just feels right. But I'm a little afraid because of what I've been through. Then just take a step into it. This is why you don't have to know what the final outcome is. You're truly writing it as you go. But the potential that it's showing is of the utmost. So, this is not about changing that beautiful part of yourself. This is about finding your soul family and those who, you know, will love you because of that. And I could see where your empathy and compassion is being called in, like, for the collective. Then we have the Strength card. Well, that is really looking within. This is getting to know oneself, all parts. You know, we all have that inner beast, and it's about taming that inner beast. You know, it's the light and the shadow. We can't get rid of the shadow, but we can tame it. We can control it. This is self. We can control ourselves. For some of you, it can speak about something you've overcome. Remember, I said earlier, for some of you, it's like, I called it a generational curse, but, you know, I don't think that's the right word, but you know what I'm saying. All right, we have the Two of Pentacles. Interesting, because it's like both of you, as it relates to this Four of Wands, this connection. I feel like both of you are being guided together, which means you're going to cross paths somehow, some way. Whether it be online or whether it be in person. And I feel like both of you then ask the question, oh, should I check out the water? Put my toes in the water? Well, I feel like the answer is yes. And here's why. The Four of Cups talks about discontentment and boredom in one's emotional world. But there is a cup that's coming in the Four of Cups. And the meaning of the card is, well, discontentment and boredom, but also it is about using your spiritual discernment. That's exactly why I feel that whoever is with you in this Four of Wands, I kind of feel that neither one of you expected it. And then we have the Knight of Swords. Interesting. Mirroring the Ace of Swords. This is communication coming in. I love that it's on a white horse. He's above the darkness, like above the storm. Like, well, let's go back to that wish. That wish that I feel like she's making. And it's interesting because I feel like there's two that are wishing upon the same star. And it just feels like exactly as it was meant to be. And let me tell you, soulmates can have very similar or linear experiences. And that can really help each other to really understand each other. I feel like it's definitely saying, there's parts of yourself that you kind of let go of. And this is about reclaiming them now so that you can start to live that dream life. It's only a dream until it becomes real. And it definitely looks like it has the opportunity to become real. Again, I feel like as it relates to love, you're being guided. So it's like you'll be in the right place at the right time and you can let go of the rest. That's kind of what the Three of Wands tells you, right? I know that my ships will come in their due time. But in the meantime, I feel like one of the best things to do is get into your creative house. Whether you do that for a living or whether you do that for joy, like painting or drawing or whatever you want to do. I don't want to put any limits on it. All right. I want to go back up and look at the lovers. Ah, Temperance. divine timing. And the first thing a temperance would tell you is to let go of control because I've got this. Temperance is mixing the loving waters of two cups and making sure that both are equally filled. Same vibration. Temperance asks for patience, but sometimes she's being patient with us. But then she does ask you to trust in divine timing. And if you think back to some of the surprises in your life, the good ones, they probably happened in divine timing. I can't think of any love that I planned. It just happened. It just happened. Temperance. Beautiful energy to come with the lovers and spiritual strength. Also, card of Sagittarius. Okay. I think I'm going to look at the Four of Wands. Look at that. More spiritual energy. How about your spiritual team? And they have a message. They're calling you to the present moment. This is why I just got done doing, it's so interesting. After I do like a series of things, I start to realize like why I did that video and then that video. It's like they feed off each other. And I literally did that 6-minute movie, but it was really channeling spirit. So this is calling you into the present moment, but judgment speaks about a rebirth. In a way, you do have to allow it. But judgment is telling you, you don't need to look back. Look forward. But this, again, calling you to the present moment, and I'm looking at the Four of Wands. Well, number one, I love that our spiritual team came over that energy. That feels like protection over this love. And this is not just about love, because I feel like the ability to find real abundance for yourself. And listen, you don't have to wait till 2026. I feel like once you've cleared the energy, you've given the universal year 9 really what it was asking for, and that is true reflection. Then I feel like go ahead and jump into the magician's energy. It's funny because temperance asks for patience, but judgment is calling you to the present moment. Three of Wands is exactly what you're doing. Okay. Now, why would judgment be calling you to the present moment? Because they're going to send you signs. That's why we see the high priestess twice. Both are being guided. I really don't feel like either one expects the other. But how beautiful the way it's being presented to us. We have the King of Cups, can be Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces. But let me tell you, I feel like if we're going to talk about love, this is the king I want to see. And I'm not thinking about the sign anymore. I'm thinking about the way this person loves in the upright. I've been with the reversal. I'm talking about the upright. This is someone who wants that special person by their side. This is someone who loves to be in love. And that may be part of like what they had to learn. Yeah, I love being in love, but I'm tired of loving the wrong people. But then look at this, the Seven of Pentacles. This is your tree of life. Remember how I said that I felt that for some of you, the seeds of love were pre-planted before you came into this lifetime? And your spirit team's job, so to speak, was to help guide the two of you together. And that's all they can do. They can't make you be together, right? Because each one of you had the option of saying yes or no. But the Seven of Pentacles, it's another message of first patience. Because what you want to think about is like, okay, so I'm planting seeds. You can see the seeds, right? But you can also see she's holding some in her lap. So that means some of these seeds are coming to fruition. It's their divine time. I love the Seven of Pentacles. And when you see the Seven of Pentacles in a reading, at least at this table, everything was meant to happen because everything that's happened has taught me something. Everything has happened has really helped me evolve. Even if it was difficult, I still evolved. And it only makes sense that as you evolve, just through the law of attraction alone, that energy be vibrated back to you. So think if you had no fear as it relates to love. Well, I shouldn't say no fear because that's normal. But, you're just like, if somebody special comes in, yeah, I'll go out on a date with them. I feel like that's all it takes. It's like merely just putting your toes in the water, and I feel like the rest will just take care of itself. Like, I feel like the chemistry will be undeniable. That will connect you immediately. And I'm not talking about looks, I'm talking the chemistry. Okay. Um, all right, so there's nothing really else I want to look at. I feel like it's pretty clear. So I'm just going to ask for any other messages that want to come out. Come on out. Hello, Ace of Wands. Passion ignited. It's go time. You do have to reach out and grab the ace. You have to say yes to it. But what I love about the Ace of Pentacles, especially with what we're receiving here, is again, I feel like it's like your heart chakra will be activated or anything. Let's say you've always wanted to start a business, but you weren't sure if you had what it takes. This says just start it. Start it. This is the time. Like passions are being ignited for whatever it is, and I have a feeling it relates back to that star again. The Empress. Look at that. The Empress and the Four of Wands, the Emperor next to the Four of Wands. They are like minded. They're different, but they have matching morals. They're both empathetic and compassionate. They both want to help. The Empress is very, very creative. This is someone who, when she receives an epiphany, she puts it into action. Like she knows the difference of, is that a sign from my guides? And by the way, if you're uncertain, ask them to send it again. You can literally see an apple is about to hit her in the head. And to me, that's like an epiphany. But she's sitting right next to that Ace of Wands. Six of Cups. Nostalgia. Look at that. Knight of Cups. Unexpected cup of fulfillment. That makes sense. The Eight of Cups. And then, hello, Magician. Hello, Magician. Even the Six of Cups above it is making me think of 2026. But yeah, Judgment's calling you to the present moment. You have two knights coming in. One is of communication, but truthful communication. And the other is of love. Now, they are the same knight. And, I feel like the Knight of Cups coming out is the perfect energy to come out because I don't feel like the Emperor and the Empress even know that they're about to cross paths. Now, the Six of Cups can represent someone you already know, but this would be someone when you think about them, you have happy memories of. I felt this a lot this year where people are changing the status on their social media accounts. I was in a relationship and now I'm single, and they're putting single right up there. And there are people picking up on that. There are people picking up on that. Like friends from the past. This doesn't have to be someone I've loved before. I mean, I could have loved him, but it may not have been romantic. Could have been a friend. And I think that's perfect. Magician, the manifester. I feel like you have earned this title. And right before that, the Eight of Cups. Well, goodbye. Anything emotional, anything that's held me back. This is finding emotional clarity. This person is heading towards the Nine of Cups, inner fulfillment and fulfillment of wishes. And it's coming after really what I feel like is a bold action, right? Looking within, knowing myself in love. Even the ones like, know that if you get like that, I've been tempted into a certain type of vibration. But once you understand that, you can break that. The Emperor and the Empress showing, I just feel like, thank you, spirit guides, because I feel like that's what you deserve. You deserve this type of energy, and they are my power couple. Like, I feel like these two, when they get together, listen, not only can they create a business together and be fantastic at it, but they understand each other. They're able to feed ideas off of each other. Like, they can create real abundance, but just not financially, romantically. It would make sense that these two would then want to get married. And I mean that because I feel like I would want to make the ultimate commitment. And it's interesting how you don't even know it. You don't even know it's going to happen. Though I guess I'm giving some of you a clue. And if you feel it's you, don't like skip over like how did we get here? Right? This healing period was important. these realizations of one's own life. So important. The understanding that even if I gave to others and, they took advantage of me, I can't let that destroy my life. Like, I can't give them that power. And that's part of what we're clearing this year. What a beautiful reading because it is representing 2025 and 2026. Who knows? This may happen soon. And in 2026, you may be making that ultimate commitment to each other. I just love it. I love it. Granted, the beginning wasn't easy, but I kind of feel like a lot of us are over that hump. So I would say the best thing to do here is be in the Three of Wands energy, optimism, and even planting seeds. But in the Three of Wands, it really is the energy that Mother Mary often says, I expect good things to happen, and they do. Well, that's putting that energy out there. And it's coming back, baby. It's coming back. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it there. Um, I feel like I could go on, but I feel like we have the perfect answers here. Why mess with perfection? Yeah, I'm just looking around. There's really nothing else I feel like I need to clarify. Um, and I'm about to say something. I know a lot of people would be like, there's no way in how I'm going to do this. But sometimes watching a reading more than once can help give you a lot more clarity. And here's why, and I say this all the time in a personal reading. The first time you listen to it, you're usually listening with your human ears. But then go back and listen to it with your spiritual ears. Like as the spiritual being that you are. You hear the messages in a different way. You just do. And I wish I had the actual like statistics, but I have so many people tell me that, especially in personal readings, but really in all readings. So, okay, I'm going to let that be. I feel like there's a lot of yeses on the board. So those who've been coming here looking for a yes, unless, you know, the one thing I want to say is it does feel like there was some old energy that has not been so good for you. And I feel like this is the ability to cut it out, eliminate it, you move forward, and just enjoy. Just enjoy. Take some chances, both in love, but also in money. Like, truly, if you want to start a business, you like the eight of pentacles would tell you you don't have to know everything because this is the energy of learning as you're going, but you have so much spiritual wisdom, you have a lot more knowledge than maybe and I have a feeling when like something calls for that information, you'll be able to pull it up like, oh, I didn't even know I knew that. I say that all the time. I know what I know what I know. I don't know how I know it, but I know it. I'm just going to tell you a real quick story. Sam had a doctor's appointment, and it was about an hour away from here today. And well, actually, yesterday, I just had this horrible feeling inside, like we shouldn't go. Like I felt something bad was going to happen. And then when we got up this morning, I started to cry. And I'm like, we can't go. And he's like, I have to go. And I'm like, no, you don't. I felt like there was going to be a car accident. Like I could see it. And I said, listen, and where he was going, his doctor is in a hospital. I said, we may end up in the hospital one way or the other. I said, but the way I'm feeling it, like I begged him and we didn't go. And I told him, I said, watch the news, see if there was any accidents because I felt it so strongly. And I can't believe he agreed not to go, but he did. But I was crying. And I felt like his mother was channeling through me, like, don't let that boy leave the house. And I told him, I'm like, I will take your car keys. I mean, we didn't fight about it. It wasn't a fight, but that's how strong I felt it. And I don't know. Like, I guess we'll never know. But yet, I just feel like it was like Archangel Michael is saying, no, don't go. And that was that. So, anyways, I don't know why I'm telling you the story all of a sudden. Um, because I don't think it has anything to do with this, other than I felt it so strongly, my intuition. And I told him, I'm like, listen, this is what I do for a living. Is like my intuition is on all the time. And for me not to pay attention to something that I'm feeling so strongly, like there was no way I was getting in the car, but there was no way I was going to let him get in it either. So, anyways, I don't know. He's not watching the news right now, so we'll see. But I'm sorry to bring up such a strange story at the end. But anyway, so I'm gonna let that be. I love you guys. I thank you. Here's to wrapping up 2025 so that 2026 can enter with all that it feels like it's promising to be. Now, as I say that, I don't feel like this reading is saying that some of these things aren't happening until 2026. This is about getting you ready so that you can, get these rewards, this recognition, so that this love can enter. And again, I don't feel like either one of you are expecting the other. And how beautiful that the Emperor and the Empress came out. We had the masculine and the feminine. It just makes sense. Even that Six of Cups can be of past lives. And probably is. Okay, I'm still talking. I love you guys. I thank you. I'm going to go watch a Stiller game now. I'll see you next time at our table. Bye bye.